Firms in competitive markets are price takers, and let's explore that assertion a little bit, and let's model it a bit. Here I've got one lone wheat farmer standing in a field of wheat. Um, how do we model that farmer's problem, at least on the demand side? That's what this screencast is about. So we've talked at length about the market analysis for wheat. We have derived the supply curve carefully. We've derived the individual firm supply curve, and then we've aggregated up over individual firms to get the market supply curve. We skip chapter 5 on demand, and if you follow a similar process to get market demand. Anyway, we've studied that market, and it turns out that an individual wheat firm faces a much different demand curve than the market demand. Remember that the wheat farm, either one, is only one of thousands and thousands of farmers. And, a downward sloping demand curve implies that increasing output drives price down. But a single farm doesn't have that market power. And the reason why stems from a careful examination of these units. So notice I've drawn our usual framework here. If I were going to draw the individual firms problem on our market demand, I would be in this microscopically small portion of this demand curve next to the y-axis. Notice that I've got millions of bushels per year as the quantity in this market framework. So let's think about how to model the farmer's demand. Well, first off, I'm going to blow this up. So I'm going to write units, bushels per year. So over here, it's millions of bushels a year. Over here, small q I use to remind myself. The book doesn't follow that convention, but I find it very useful. The farmer's problem is bushels per year. Now the y-axis units are the same, and that's going to be sort of handy for us. Dollars per bushel. And it turns out, because this farm is so atomistically small relative to the market, that the demand curve he faces is simply a horizontal line at the going market price. In other words, the farmer can sell all he wants to at that market price. If he tried to raise price, everybody would say, hey, I've got 999,999 farmers offering at me the wheat at P0 per bushel. Why would I pay P0 plus 1 or whatever from you? I wouldn't. So you try to raise prices, quantity demanded goes to zero. You lower prices, well, you could sell all you wanted at the price P0. You never would lower price, right? You're a profit maximizer. So demand is a flat line at the market price, and that's going to be pretty important. Actually, I'll throw you a finer point here. We're going to change this as market structure changes. The marginal revenue function and the demand curve for the competitive firm are the same. Marginal revenue equals price for the competitive firm. Once we study monopoly, when we go to study monopoly, all the cost stuff stays the same. Everything stays the same except for two things. One, the single firm faces the market demand. And two, for a single price monopolist, the marginal revenue function turns out to be less than the price, different than the price. So that's just looking ahead a couple weeks.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.